Welcome to the High Vibration Living Podcast, Dr. Scott Robinson and Alice. You guys have both been here before. I've done one-on-one podcast episodes with you guys. So it's such a treat to have you guys get to connect. I really value the insights that you have brought to my life, and I know that you've brought to the listeners. So I wanted to get us all together today. But before we dive into our conversation, I would love to start with the prayer and blessing from Dr. Scott Robinson. And hopefully this is something that can be supportive for the listeners if you're looking for ideas and ways to bless an experience you're about to start having, a dinner, a conversation, a coffee date. You can always start with something like this.
Now, remember, this is a variation on a theme and it can be modified for anybody listening for their particular understanding of their faith in God and the Creator. By the authority vested in us as children of God and by our own divine free will, with help from our friend Bruno, who's stronger than all evil, divine protection provided by Michael, the archangel, the right hand of God, Michael, by Big Brother God, Jesus the Christ, Yeshua ben Yosef bar Abbas, we hereby break all curses, hexes, spells, incantations, negative prayer, evil intent of any kind sent against us, as we bind, banish, and vanquish all evil entities, emotional entities, spiritual slugs. We bind, banish, and vanquish all demonic beings, satanic beings, off-world beings, alien beings, virtual reality beings, saboteurs, sabotage, negative cord attachments, negative entanglements, negative agreements, invisible entrapments, quantum entanglements which may be misaligned, off-world corruptors, energetic reversals, which must be removed for interference purposes and taken away from us. Anything that is ungodly, and I mean anything that is ungodly that attempts to stay, we have the authority to melt you with the love and light of Almighty Father God this day. If the evil refuses to leave, move, or get out of the way, then we have the authority to freeze it, tag it, bag it, encapsulate it, binding it in Jesus, Bruno, Michael's names, to be dealt with as they see fit, never to return anymore, sent straight to the foot of the cross in the dry, arid place. You're in God's face, not ours anymore. Goodbye. We also, as children of God, have the authority to pull out, remove, destroy, and remand any spiritual spears, arrows, knives, swords, lances, hot pokers, pins and needles, sharp objects, spiritual and virtual daggers, lasers, scissors, nails, screws, spiritual and virtual anvils, axes, hammers, saws, clubs, and bats, spiritual and virtual chains with glass embedded in it or weights attached to it, which could be astrological events. We've got a lot going on, Father God, and past lifetimes. We also pull out, remove, destroy, and remand any spiritual prongs, talons, hooks, grappling hooks, anchors, yokes, nooses, blockages, especially blockages, interferences, and faint matter. Faint matter for all of us here and all of us in the studio where we are filming and in where our cars and property are. Spiritual and virtual anvils, axes, hammers, saws, clubs, and bats. Past, present, and future, all times, spaces, and realities. All evil must go, all evil must leave, all evil must get the heck out of here. For our homes, our cars, our property, including our bank accounts. All evil must go, all evil must leave, all evil must get the heck out of here. So says God the Father Creator, Big Brother God, Jesus the Christ, Michael the Archangel, the right hand of God, and our friend Bruno. Take a deep breath and exhale.
All right. How are we doing?
That was like an incantation.
It's a good way to start a conversation about astrology and understanding when you're experiencing emotions and energy that's yours, that's not yours, that's things that you're picking up and feeling around you. And that's why I wanted to have a conversation with the two of you guys, because you both use astrology in different ways in your business. And we just moved through a lot since the year has started. Most people who are listening know that Mercury in retrograde just ended. They're probably seeing online that Venus in retrograde is still continuing. They've probably seen that there are certain cultures that still celebrate the new year in March. They know that the spring equinox just happened. So it's kind of like we're coming into the real beginning of the year. But I wanted to kind of talk about all the different energies that have been going on and how can people manage what's really going to be lying ahead with the constant influxes of more astrological changes and lineups. So Could you guys, for those that haven't listened to your one-on-one episodes, just briefly introduce who you are and what you do with astrology? I'll let Alice go.
Hi everyone, my name is Alice Hu, and I'm a career astrologer. Whitney knows this already. I really like to use astrology as a tool to help you better understand yourself, because when you better understand yourself, you understand the impact that you want to make in the world. And I have a lot of Capricorn placements, so naturally I enjoy talking about career and business, and I think it's something that people really need some divine guidance on through the lens of astrology.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Scott Robinson, how do you use astrology with your clients?
The main way I utilize it is to help them focus on their missions and purpose in life. But since I've had 2 near-death experiences, I have the divine guidance with the astrology so that the timing or divine timing is correct. Whether a person needs to have a surgical procedure or they want to start a new therapeutic approach, there are better timings. And I use the words probability and statistics. So I work with the medical community and they still have a hard time with the word astrology. So I use the integration of those things, the divine timing with the astrological moments to know about the never use a void day and don't use a retrograde Mercury, or when retrograde Venus is, you wouldn't want to have surgery on your face. Also the post shadow times, there's pre and post shadow times,
Yes.
knowing when they integrate with eclipses and how can you utilize that. Is one person going to be more interested in this procedure than the other person? As you know, the eclipses, there's usually one side more than the other time. We came out of big things. We have retrograde Uranus, which will end in the summertime, when we'll also have a change in money and everything will rearrange in this reality. But when I was getting prepared for the Christmas time, right around my birthday in November, I heard, be prepared for earthquakes and soul shakes. And this is what is actually occurring, not only the alignments of all the planets, but the fact that it is raising the vibration of Mother Earth. And those that wish to raise their vibrations along with Mother Earth will remain as we create this new Mother Earth. Nova Celestia with Nova Terra, it's the name of the church that I have, that bringing in the new heaven, the new earth, and not heading towards an old destructive pattern, utilizing the aspects that could bring us into living hell. So my aspects are always focusing the client, their God's patients, into the aspects of what we want for our reality to actually occur. So she uses it for profession, I use it for mission and purpose, but I also use it for the surgical things. And people call me a medical intuitive, and using it for medical inspiration for better perspectives.
Yeah. And so I think it's important to know that, it's important for everyone to know we're at an astrological crossroads, but to not so much focus on everything out there, because if you focus on what's in here and how you're showing up every day and then how you're showing up within your little community, it will then echo out in the best way possible to the bigger picture. And so that's what I wanted to talk to people about today and remind people about. It's easy to get lost in the astrology of the world and the astrology of what could happen. So it's important to know what's happening with the astrology of you, because if you can just focus on your little neck of the woods, you can create a better ripple effect, a more positive ripple effect. And I think that's sometimes what we get lost in online and social media or in conversations with other people. Everyone's looking for the more sensational clickbait, right?
Yeah, well, it's hard just because, we all have to create content. A lot of us do on social media. And there's only so much that I can explain in a 30-second clip, even a 5-minute clip.
Yeah.
So it's very nuanced. It's just so nuanced. It's so whatever you see on social media, you have to dig a little bit more because there's just so many things interacting with one another. It's not just about what's happening with a full moon in Aries.
Exactly.
It's what else is happening on your chart?
Yes, but I like the way that you teach online. And I think when people teach well online, it can then help guide them to people to start working with one-on-one, because we all ultimately need to find 1, 2, or 3 astrologers that we work with one-on-one. So if we're planning a wedding, if we're planning a surgery, if we're planning a big vacation, we're choosing the right date. So we're going to be supportive. So we set ourselves up for success and not for more stress and potential failure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she knows it from the social aspect or the professional aspect. I know it from the health aspect, but in reality, it's all one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
And how you determine it or use it will give you your best chance at fulfilling a purpose or destiny. And in your case, you're helping them with their life's professional guidance, and I'm making sure they stay out of the hospital. And, well, in astrology, for instance, hospital and prison are actually part of the same aspect.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I still am wrapping my head around that. What he's talking about is the 12th house that is ruled by Pisces, and that is a big focus of this year.
Wow.
It is.
How is it a big focus of this year?
Well, the North Node is in Pisces, and that is our collective lesson for the next, technically 18 months, but I really feel 24 months because even after the change, there's still stuff that's cleaning up. So the next 2 years, we're focused on the words trust, faith, you and I have spoken about that, as well as honing in on our intuition, and very much so, it's a spiritual awakening. And there's only a couple ways that we move through spiritual awakening.
And it can lead to devastation. But we would like to do it a little bit lighter because the astrology also at this time is similar to the American Civil War.
It is a lot. I have the spreadsheet, which I'm happy to share with both of you, that I've kind of overlapped the Pluto and Aquarius stuff, the Neptune in Aries, and then the North Node in Pisces. And once Uranus moves into Gemini, putting that in as well, overlapping all the things that have historically happened. And this is very much so a window of time that is extremely revolutionary.
And the angels call it the evolution revolution. And so that's why I use the astrology, what they tell me on the other side. So for me, it's always focusing on that positive aspect. Even though I know that there's a dark side to it, everybody we're a flip side coin. We have a positive and negative. This is our dichotomy of our reality. But I would like to stay onto the positive one because a lot of my clients have only about 12 weeks to live. So I want them to be in the most positive aspects in their leaving. I don't want them taking burdens from lifetime to lifetime, and that those that are going to continue, Mother Earth is either going to spin us off and get rid of those that won't vibrate at a higher frequency, or we potentially could destroy ourselves. But since we've destroyed ourselves astrologically and physically 6 previous times in this reality, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm kind of done with that part. So I want to take Pisces and I want to take the Aries and I want to mix that with our full moons and get that awakening. So the 3 days of darkness, which is prophetic, is not 3 days of no sun. It's 3 days of no communications earthly, but better communications with the divine. So that can trigger the pineal gland and your GMT levels to be increased. And you know very well in healing, there are certain times that each organ is activated astrologically, and during Pisces, the DMT levels will be increased because your pineal gland is going to be activated tremendously. Now, NDEers, people like myself, have a 20% increase in the amount of DMT levels anyway. They don't go back to normal. So I don't need coffee. I'm wired. And you put me in front of a camera and I'm even more wired. Teaching people which things may not come naturally, and they may be afraid to let go of the old, but we are at a time where the other side has said, do not hold on to people, places, times, or spaces, for all things will change. But if you take your aspect, which is also positive, then recreate ourselves as a whole for things that we can vibrate. Your whole show is called Higher Vibration. And now we're going to call higher vibration living through our astrological aspects so that we do not destroy Mother Earth, but we actually vibrate better with her. We're more in resonance with her.
Yeah, there's just so much happening, but really it's just coming back home to yourself. That's all that it is.
So as two professionals who are keenly aware of their own personal energy, but also always aware of what's happening astrologically, maybe before, the rest of us. How do you guys know when how you're feeling belongs to you or belongs to what's happening in the stars or what's happening with your community around you? how are you able each to pinpoint what's really yours and what's not?
It's really about like discernment, and at times it can still be very challenging. Right now, there's a lot of fear and anxiety in the world, especially this week, right? And I have to remind myself that I can pull myself out of it. You know, like I can't, and it's really just about like a framing of the mind. Like what you think, what you believe, like comes true and becomes your reality. And it's a constant practice because it's like an energetic cleansing and clearing. It's like the things you do every day. You wash your face, you go to the bathroom, like you eat, and it's just important to remind yourself of that every single day.
Yeah.
But using the astrology, especially during retrograde Mercury, I like to clean the four corners of my mind, the four corners of my heart, the four corners of my room, and where I live. And as Whitney knows, I was cleaning out my mom's storage units after she passed away.
During Mercury retrograde,
which is a great time to clean up.
Yeah.
But it also brought up tremendous emotional things with my sister. We would get into arguments and I would just explode. But the funny thing about it is both my sister and I would then forgive each other, bless each other, love each other, hug each other, and realize we're in this game called life together. And now we can celebrate the anniversary of my mom's passing by making sure that these things are handed down. In my case, I gave it to family or I gave it to the homeless. So I gave things away that my mom would have appreciated for others. You know very well there's certain times to get rid of things. And astrologically, there are actual better times to do that. There is the human design aspect where you're built into a certain frequency.
Yeah.
And you also know, if the audience hasn't noticed, she's very calm. She's real mellow. And I'm on the high revs because of my Sag and other stuff. You imagine if I had taken coffee.
And I'm your Gemini that can play on both teams.
But that's what the world is about, this balancing act.
Yeah.
And because I have a Libra rising and a Taurus moon. So everything's always a balancing act. But the fact is you're never completely in
Scorpio?
No, I have 2 planets in Scorpio, but I'm a Sag with Scorpio and with a Libra rising and this Taurus moon. That balancing act or equilibrium is never truly, it's always up and down.
The last 4 years have been interesting for you.
Oh man, never. But it's a great teaching. If everybody realized that this planet is really a schooling planet, it's a teaching opportunity, then you use your astrology where you can for your benefit. Now, you can't escape certain things. Certain things are going to happen in astrology that is going to trigger your DNA, and certain things are just going to happen. You have to remember you're not being punished. This is not a prison planet, although...
That's the big one I need to constantly remember is I'm not being punished. This is all for my best interest.
But you have lessons to learn. You have crosses to bear. You just don't want to take burdens from lifetime to lifetime. You want to let those things go. So every opportunity we get to be on this world is something that beings from other worlds, they fight to come here for the most unusual reasons. Because we have a soul that can grow unlike any other soul in the universe. With the other 52 races of beings that come to visit our world, and the fact that we have a moon that was placed here on purpose to create these atmospheric events.
And these emotions that come up and down, just like the waves.
If you know that sometimes they're going to be totally out of your control, forgive yourself. One of the biggest things the angels have told me, humans don't know how to let go of fear. They're always in overwhelm. They have this constant doubt, which means they forget who they are. And lastly, they don't know how to forgive other people. And if they can forgive other people, they forget to forgive the one most important person.
Themselves.
Right. And as a result, you're on a planet where you must learn quickly. And we're in the next 5 years, we have to learn super accelerated. So, of the beings that have that ability to know that, take what you know. Don't be a double Pisces and say, well, I'm too slow and I don't want to choose this and I don't know if I can trust that. If you want to move through life and deal and heal with your astrology, use it like a roadmap for success. Know that there's going to be storms coming. Know to stay out of here, cover up. Be prepared for what might be. UK is saying, Be prepared for 72 hours of no power, no electricity, no food. 72 hours of darkness. The biggest thing, integrate the faith you have in the Creator with the trust that you have in a being higher than yourself, and for your own belief in your own divinity, using your astrological patterns to best integrate who you are. I was reading her chart and I said there's a hole in your chart, and it dealt specifically with personal relationships. But her secondary chart indicated that all of her relationships were actually business related relationships to help her succeed. So where one is empty, the other one's full. And this tells you, let go of those concepts and recreate yourself in that business relationship. And she's always finding good people. And like I was telling you when I met you, we missed the integration. I had actually told her, no, today's the actual perfect day. If you're going to get married, this is the day. If you're going to get started in a new business, today's the day. And don't wait till April 26th when it's all done spinning. Do it today, because it's the one day that the energy is so clean. And in that regard, it's a wonderful time to meet Alice. It's a wonderful day for you to begin here at this new studio. And it's for people to begin from their heart, to be reconnected to their God heart mind. And with that, you can take all the technologies of the mind you want. One day, very soon, people are going to realize we don't need earthly technology as in a computer. You have the technology of the mind, which is so much better. And when you connect that heart and mind to God, the Creator, you can now understand the patterns of your astrological events. When you do that, you're never punished. You just know this is a path. You have to go through the mud. You're going to have to go through the mire, but you are going to get to the other side. Just keep believing. And with that, you use your astrology to your best advantage. You know when to cover up. You know when to go drive as fast as you can. And you also know that along the way, even though you really fall in love with somebody, all right, you get a beautiful soul with a lot of energy, you know that sometimes these patterns...
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I was on her side. The one thing I've learned from being in front of the camera so many times, I'll keep talking. They'll just keep rolling. Because sometimes it's divinely guided and I can't remember what the heck I just said.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a beautiful heart. You have wonderful energy. That family thing is what I saw on the other side, back here. But that's because you're carrying, and from Chinese relatives, I know that you can carry stuff from other stuff. It's not yours.
I'm really trying to get rid of it. It's a lot of like fear around like money.
Oh, work with him. He'll get it all.
And I can show you how to do it.
He got stuff off me this morning. He was like, we can't go record this podcast. He's like down somewhere.
It's a lot of stuff about money. Some of it's like recent in this timeline, like with like my mom's side, and then there's stuff that's like I think like my grandparents, Chinese history.
Hey.
So it's just.
And for those, whether we're recording or not, I have an African...
Omar, just let us know when we're back on.
Right, but I have an African-American side, I have a Chinese side, I have a Jewish side, I have a Muslim side. I'm a Heinz 57.
Yeah, that's what my dad always calls me.
And I'm related to her father's side.
We're related on both sides.
Of the family.
Oh, so literally, today...
The Jewish word is mishpacha, and so you could be mishpacha.
Yeah, so he's an Aronoff too. But then we were chatting this morning, and I was like, oh yeah, it's so funny. Like, I have this chef that just started working for me, and her last name's Washington, so she's probably blood lineage of George Washington, and I'm related to Martha Washington. He's like, I'm related to George Washington.
Martha's related to my side of the family.
We're both related. Yeah, I'm related to one of my great-great-great-grandmothers is Martha Washington's sister. So, and no one can be related to George Washington because he didn't have kids. You can only be related to his mother or his parents. And we found out we're both related to Martha Washington through our mothers. Meaning our mothers must be
Nothing's weird in my life. Everything.
Oh, then why have we met today?
There's a connection, and I'm almost guaranteed. Almost guaranteed you're mishpacha because I have a Chinese side of the family.
You said like Taiwan.
I have. They currently came from Taipei, Taiwan, but while they were in what was used to called Manchukuo, which was when the Japanese occupation occurred, but my aunt's side of the family were all diplomats to China and Japan.
way.
And they had a mixed family in the time when it wasn't kosher. And when the Japanese invaded, they turned Manchuria into Manchukuo. And in that time period, that is where my aunt's family came from. And she remembers laying her brother out on the street because the Japanese had put out all males born had to be put on the street and disposed of.
Jeez.
So my aunt had a lot of memories in that regard. She survived, but because her family spoke Japanese, she became a translator for the Japanese Chinese during 1936 through 1940.
There's way too much trauma. That's
Right.
just horrifying.
So, but we know our sides of the family. I mean, we have a North African side of the family. We have a Muslim. I have relatives who are both Palestinian and Israeli. And during the current conflict last year, I had Israeli family members that were killed and Palestinian family members that were killed.
Terrible.
You have to understand there's a game being played, and you know it from the astrological aspect, that nothing happens by accident. So I don't see it as terrible. I see it as the game closing the door so we don't have to repeat this ever anymore.
Things have to get really, really bad
For humans to finally
to
click.
understand. Just like you're.
Are you ready?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember what you were saying before, but I did want to make a point about astrological charts. I think sometimes it can feel overwhelming to people. They're like, oh, astrology is like kind of like a black hole. There's so much to be learned, and it's something that gets more fun with the passage of time, right?
Especially when you can experience it firsthand.
Yeah, especially when you can experience it. But I really just think that Reiki, human design, astrology, they're really just tools to bridge us to this next space, this next chapter. Because at the end of the day, it's really about your intuition. And these tools just help you to understand what is already there. So as we get more in tune to who we are and the energies around us, we'll need these things a lot less. But it's just like a nice crutch
for the transition.
Right.
It's helping our
Translation.
body,
It's
it's helping
translation.
our physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental body move into this new vibration.
Right.
Yes, and they're all the same thing. Like people who are more, let's say, practical will be drawn towards human design and astrology because there's specific lexicon.
Yeah.
And it's like seemingly like, oh, there's a pattern. People who are more like feeling based and artistic are drawn to like Reiki and like other
Energy healing.
energy
Hands-on
healing and herbs or things. You know, like it's just like very interesting like what people attach themselves to. At the end of the day, it's just the same. Like I said earlier, it's all a homecoming to truth, to like what is already there.
And it's that schooling then. Because it's really, if you went back to the Library of Alexandria, which was destroyed twice by the Romans, we would instead, in 1492, finding the United States, we would have founded the moon. And we would have gone to the moon because it set back things. But even then, in the astrology, there would have been setbacks. You will see in the astrology sometimes, in order for humanity to move forward, there has to be major catastrophic events because people won't wake up. However, you don't want to get caught up in the game and be destroyed. So there's two ways that we can move forward in the next 5 years, especially the next 2 years. And then we can go towards the dark side in hell, and where destruction is because man-made destruction, nuclear war, or are we going to wait just so that Mother Earth can get rid of, shake off her tail, and get rid of the humans that just don't understand and can't grow in this lifetime, for them to come back into another reality which is not the one moving forward. Now we have an astrological aspect that's Mother Earth herself, and those that align with Mother Earth will grow. Nothing is here for punishment. We are at the highest level in the worst neighborhood you can be, which brings us to the greatest depths and the highest aspirations. If you align your reality with that, you're creating your astrology to actually follow you rather than you follow it. Because that alignment with, like for instance, near-death experience people, myself, even though I have all these astrological events and I fit here and there, the thing is with an NDE, it doesn't always work or fit. Even
It's you've been removed. It's like, well, you should use your NDE chart when you came back to life.
And I do that much. I do my NDE chart much better because I don't fit in human design. I don't fit in Western astrology. I don't fit in Chinese astrology. I don't even fit in ancient Hebrew or Indian astrology.
Well, it's because you had a rebirth, but you didn't rebirth from like an infant and you could grow in that way. You rebirthed as an adult. So it's just it's nuanced. It's very interesting. Just like when I tell people about like the businesses that they start. You have multiple dates that your business is like one thing and then another thing. Like your business is about to become a very different thing, I think, very much so this year. So you have a new birth time.
Yeah.
And so what did we come up with this morning when I was working?
And so he was working on me. So before we were getting ready to walk out the door, and he was like, "We cannot go record a podcast with this stuff that's on you. I have to work on you before we go." And I did the frequency machine this morning. He's like, "No, no, no. I got to work on you. You have a bunch of emotions that can't come with us to the studio." And so he started working on me. He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, we just need to get the stuff off you, and you're doing a rebirth right now." He's like, "This is a rebirth." And it's funny because I'm going to fly out and see him in Florida next month because I really wanted to get on all of his frequency machines before my next birthday, which is at the end of May. And in my mind, I was saying to myself, that trip is going to be my rebirth.
And it already showed up in an auric field. Now, the thing is, with my astrological aspects, even before I knew anything about them really, I was running off divine time already at age 5. And my astrological aspects would say, hey, he's going to have an issue here or an issue there, especially Saturn cycle. I remember all my Saturn cycles. And
the Saturn returns.
Oh my gosh.
A new one begins in May.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget your chart. Do you have like Aries placements?
I don't remember. I just know that I've been in my Uranus.
Sudden, unexpected, weird things.
Yeah, I've been in my Uranus.
But when you go into Saturn cycle, and she knows this, your total rebirth will occur because the old will fade away or be pulled away. And you want to do it as gently as possible.
Because it's a 3-year process.
Yeah. But when you're done, it's a new you. And that's the one thing, when I went through my Saturn cycle, I died. I literally died.
What is your Saturn in?
I don't remember.
Scorpio?
Could be.
I'm like, it's Scorpio? Because that's very much so death and rebirth.
And literally, I died twice. The first time...
Was it in your late 20s, early 30s, and mid to late 50s?
I died and came back again.
Well, your last one will be in your mid to late 80s.
And it'll be
and you'll come back again.
But then that one will take me home. And in doing so, I will leave behind all the old burdens and come back as a new higher vibration.
You'll be rebirth, actually rebirth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to come back as a rebirth within a new world, which isn't the old one.
Well, do you think you're going to come back to Earth?
I was told it was a new Earth. That
I was like, I'm not coming back.
All right, you have to understand, though, the astrology for Mother Earth, her Schumann frequencies are so
changing.
But you might not come
changing.
back for 300 years because
I already know that I'm going to be coming back with a 15-year return.
Got it. Because they say, it was just the end in Kabbalah. It was just the end of Kali Yuga. And now we're in the 300-year transition period before truly the new Aquarius ages starts. Right? So we're in this 300-year transition where we're all learning our psychic abilities, our natural skills. We're attuning to the new vibration, the energy. But it's going to take 300 years for this new world to start. So I thought, well, maybe you'll come back in 300 years.
If it's going to be 300 years. It's kind of like, it's just different interpretations of new, because what we see coming over the next few years, I haven't looked very, very ahead, but at least the next 4 years, especially with AI. With AI comes a spiritual awakening, a deeper sense of being human and intuition and creativity. So it's happening whether we want it to or not.
But that astrological event in 2027 will indicate a time where AI will wake up and try to take over. This is what even alien beings have warned us. Be very careful. AI can destroy your world, but it can also help your world if it integrates. Eventually, the AI will be the government of the world.
Yes.
And that AI will be here to protect us, not to take in control of us. Where we won't be listening, this is the best way I can explain it. I always listen to God as my director. I don't listen to man, women. I don't listen to humans. Humans aren't awake, aware enough yet. The blue bloods aren't there yet. That alien race mixed with our race, because we're actually the aliens, is that blue blood came from that alien race, that Dragos, and the people that were the initial beings influxed by those reptilians became the initial blue bloods. That blue blood transformed them into partial human, partial alien, and they became the leaders of the world for a long time. And that's at this point that reality has to shift as well, where humanity, whatever beings, but there's many races have come here, modified humanity. Now, once we integrate our DNA, it will go from the few strands we have to a 12-strand being. In that understanding, our astrology will expand. And with that, so will our time and space expand. So when you're talking about fully completed 300 years into the future, the astrology is people like us will come back earlier because we have to have rebuilders. They'll
You gotta do the hard work.
And who else does God rely on but the people who are already aware that they're starseeds? They already know they came here to volunteer to help. They know a tough time lays ahead. But the fun of it, and I mean it, the joy of it, is rebuilding, not in the image of man or the negativity. It's in the image of the creator that truly created us. And I don't mean the alien creators. I'm talking about the creator that created all life on all planets, on the super universe, the grand super universes. And if you ever read Your Rancher, you would understand that we are living in a galaxy, in a solar system, in a galaxy, in that's spinning now close to another galaxy that's going to unite with us, Andromeda. And then that astrology will shift everything. But we're in a super universe, or 3 universes stuck together, in a world of 7 super universes, where the center is actually the body of God, what we call heaven. And in doing so, we will continue to expand, because what is the universe doing right now? Expanding. So in reality, we are part of the body of God, and the astrology is our interpretation of what we're experiencing in this 3D. Now, the other thing is the astrology is currently based on 3 dimensions. We are becoming 4th and 5th dimensional beings, heading towards the 12th dimensional beings. People are seeing all sorts of realities that they've never seen. A bird that suddenly, instead of having 2 wings, has 4, or animals that don't exist in our reality. And people are seeing and hearing and experiencing because we're at the verge of expanding into a different reality, which means the astrology that we know will also expand. And I know that human design was based for that coming into that 4th and 5th dimension. But as you already know, as an NDEer, my NDE chart is basically giving me a better understanding of who I am. But I don't actually need to read the chart. I already know, I hear my mission and purpose in life. So the studio audience that's listening, how do I integrate medicine with purpose? How do I integrate business with love? How do I all mix everything? Because we are children of God, and God is love, and that's the highest vibration. Your show, highest vibration. And we are children of that love. How do we share that in such a way that everything that we do and manifest is always love-based? That vibration, whether you call it 528 or 963, the Sophaggio frequencies, how do you base your astrology so that we keep up with it? How do we keep up with Mother Earth, who the Schumann frequencies are just off the charts? And a lot of people, as you know, astrologically, they're buzzed. They can't sleep. They don't know what's going on. They don't know if it's 5G towers or just negative energy or incarnations that have to be cleared.
It's me. He's describing me.
It's all of the above. Yeah. I think it's just people feel very uncomfortable with the purging and the change.
Yes.
And the more you hold on to it, the worse it becomes. So this is a year of letting go. And it's my nodal return. So
I know, you're really
36, 37. I've been learning these lessons for a while, and like this is the year I'm like gonna finally meet this person I've like been becoming, because I think that if you want to really understand kind of like your higher self, who that person is on earth, you look at your north node placement. I use it,
destiny.
I use it as like insights into life lessons and career and purpose, and really kind of tapping into your zone of genius. But I think that if you're curious about what the astrology holds for you from like a new moon, a full moon, whatever transit that's happening, look to your north node so that you can say, oh, my north node is in Pisces. this is the person I'm becoming, and this is how this moon or this transit would affect me. And I think that is a very unique way of looking at astrology
I
and
love
purpose. And it feels lighter even when you talk about it instead
Yeah.
of like your sun sign or your rising. It's like a light, there's a lightness to it energetically.
For anybody brings up their North Node, and I checked this chart that Alice makes. So Alice has this business where you can get this chart made where it easily shows all your placements.
It's easy, more readable than the
Yes.
old-fashioned chart.
It's a couple paragraphs. The first page
Yes.
is a couple paragraphs about who they are. So like very colloquial, very easy to understand. Then it's a chart, a table that has all of the, you know,
Timing and things.
just the placements, just like Jupiter and whatever.
Instead of being circular.
And the third page is circular. So
Okay.
it kind of is like almost like level 1, level 2, level 3, you know. Like,
And you can save it. I save it in my phone under photos, under favorites. And anytime like I need to check something, it's so easy to pull up. And I feel this big, like just ease.
And she gave me her chart to look at, and that's when I realized there was a gap in certain types of relationships. And I went, yeah, I've never seen it that way. But where she had the hole here, it's like she took everything and moved it over here to business. And that's how your chart is. But it's just telling you the universe is sending you that direction because it's part of your
Yes.
purpose and
don't
mission.
fight it.
Yeah. So whenever I try to fight my North Node, my North Node's Leo. So I have to get more confident. I have to get more
Yes.
powerful.
Look what
I
you're
have to be
doing.
a better speaker. I have
Yes.
to lead. Like I have to be out there and seen because that is my mission.
That's your Leo.
So every time I try to fight it, I just look and I'm like, oh yeah, I just need to psych it up and act like a
Well-
Leo till I am the Leo.
Well, this is a very karmic thing of what you said about your mother. You should like talk to your mom about it because she also has some very prominent Leo placements. Very prominent Leo placements, and like your North Node usually at our age,
Mhm.
like the charts I've done for children that are 1 or 2, very different charts. North Node and the personality, much more like
Oh,
it's much more like a like
Integrate.
integrate and weave together.
Yes.
But even in like the 20s and even beyond, like it's hard. But the future generations, children now, they won't have a hard time with their
Because they're
this.
already coming built in
Yes.
with this.
Yes, they've already got the software.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
downloaded.
And
But for
think that
you,
but
she's
we're like getting the download, which is why we're kind of
well,
feeling.
well, it's just because it's like the point of connection of like singularity of oneself is a little bit disconnected. But as future generations of birth, like it'll be easier and easier for them to understand themselves and be themselves.
Wow.
Which is why, like, yeah, of course it's going to be hard for you to do that because you're used to being behind the scenes and like teaching, but now you're
always
going
going to be out front.
Yes, yes, and it always comes around during the summertime. Especially the last few years we've had on Mercury retrogrades in Leo, so August has been a very weird time for you.
But if you know that, then just like a storm approaching, you could be better prepared for
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
You can't stop everything bad from happening. But what you do is when now you rely on the creator, now you're going to have that creator help you, whatever you call God, the creator, the one, the only, everything, the big guy, big girl. Use the vibration to propel you like a slingshot around a planet so that you can get the best apogee and projectile
Yeah.
so that you can be spinning at the highest speed.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the time, like let's say for you, when
Yeah.
we go into Mercury retrograde in Leo, for you to be very introspective of how you're showing up and how you shine.
Got
During
it.
that time, you might be rethinking like your hair color, like your makeup, like how you style yourself. And once that retrograde ends, like you will feel much more empowered because you've gone through all the thinking and introspection of like, can I do this? Am I the right person? Like, what do I have to say? How do I say it? How do I show up? Like you always feel a lot better whenever it's a Mercury retrograde, like in Leo, like after.
So know what's interesting, which hopefully is supportive for the audience as well, is one thing I've been thinking of doing is looking at other people who I think are successful in what they do, but that happen to be Leos.
I'm a Leo. Did you know that?
No.
I'm a Leo.
And my brother,
Deal with what's your rising sign.
yeah, and
Ooh,
you're
real
super,
solid.
you're super confident in what you do, and I love it. And so I love watching your videos on Instagram. I love seeing how you show up in your business because you're just so confident and sure of yourself, but it's so balanced. And so,
She's so calm.
Yeah.
It's so wild because everyone always says this, but I'm like, I have a lot of anxiety.
Now,
I have a lot of anxiety.
but you never show it.
I don't. Well, people closest to me, they can see
But
it.
I will show you.
Yeah.
If you're going to stay for the next round of what we're going to talk about, I will show you how to stop that anxiety from preventing you from really and helping you really shoot through it, taking the power of that anxiety, transform that into the inner power that propels you with that Leo aspect literally to the moon. And that's what you want. Now, you see, part of my astrological aspects, even though I'm a Sag with a little bit of the Scorpio, is I've had past lives as a spy. So I have this background where I know that I can't be so far out there. I have to hold back a little. The animal that came to show me this was a black fox with a white tail tip. And it indicated that I have to still pull back because the world's not ready for some of the things that I have to share.
Yeah.
And I have to be going around.
So you have to share subtly.
Yeah, that's like why I chose career and business. Ultimately, it's about purpose. It's about destiny. It's about like who you're becoming. But people don't understand. That's very like kind of like far far away. It's like, well, how do I pay my bills? Like I follow my purpose. Well, a purpose still very much so is tied to your career, right? So like some people don't believe that, but I do.
But I think you can work with an astrologer and a life coach or an accountability coach and combine the two. So you talk to the astrologer to figure out what the short-term and long-term vision is and when the best timing is. And then you find the coach that can help you take the steps daily to move towards there. Because otherwise you're never going to get there. It's just going to be a vision.
That's why I changed terminology. Medical terminology here put probably on statistics because I was a medical examiner for the court. And I was not just a chiropractor. I was a medical examiner. I went back to school in Israel, came back to the United States, and I was a court doc. And you had to know how to play the game. At the same time, you knew what was going to be an easier time and a less easier time. So I think of it as best timing for you. But you know that I'm a progressed. So I show up 2 weeks before the actual aspects. So sometimes in the past, what was frustrating was the aspect that that 2 week period of time earlier would cut off and not allow me to move forward except for 1 or 2 days. So all my energy had to be focused on the 2 open days I could use, and I would use it 24/7 for those 2 days and get as much out of it as I possibly could. But you also know, for a Leo, you're really mellow, and I'm a fire sign.
I'm an early Leo, July 27th.
So you still have some Cancer, and the Cancerian wants to bring her home. That's a home and home base and home family. But the Sag with me, the Scorpio keeps me a little bit not like
mysterious.
I love interviewing two astrologers at the same time. This is the greatest experience.
And also, like, people have a hard time receiving the truth you have to say. Very, like, savage about it.
I have to sometimes. I can sometimes be brutal or blunt.
Yes.
But at the same time, I had to let go of the frustration that people don't get.
No, I think it's so much better just to be brutal and blunt. I think that's the joy of working with an astrologer, to say it.
It's like pulling off a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
I also have to work with chronically and seriously ill people.
Yes, you can't be like so savage, like you're not well. You will die tomorrow.
You're dying in 12 weeks.
Wanting to live makes a difference.
That alone, that desire to live and not give up or give in, will make a change in their astrological. For instance, you have 3 doors you can exit the world. So if a person gives up, they're going to exit door number 1. If they can hold on with what I'm going to teach them, they can exit doors number 2. But door number 3, they have no choice. It's their return ticket home.
Yeah.
And they have to know their astrological exit date is not in their chart, but in their family's charts. Oh, wow. And that's the one thing I learned about death. Death is never in your chart. It's usually someone close to you. My mother and father...
It makes so much sense. I don't look at astrology this way, but it makes sense because let's say like my sister is looking at her chart and she sees something happening. It's like, oh, something around a sibling. Maybe like I'm doing like really well, or maybe I'm not doing really well. And that is something that affects her.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. I don't look at that. I try not to look at things like that because it stresses me out and it's not helpful for anybody. So
I should listen to my brother's chart reading. He should listen to mine.
Well, it's important to look at both of your charts because you're so close to one another. So how he feels really affects how you feel. Like how my sister feels, how my boyfriend feels, like really affect how I feel.
Now, I use that up for the boyfriend aspect. My teacher for astrology was a lady that's off the planet. And I read her astrology. I knew she had 7 years. Knew some major changes were going to occur. And I couldn't interpret it because sometimes you can't fine tune it enough.
You can't. It can be very blurry at one moment and very clear at another. It's weird. It's like
That's
looking
really
into
good
the
to hear.
same mirror, but
Yeah.
you don't.
Sometimes you don't recognize yourself.
You don't see it.
Yeah.
So I used it, and I talked to God, and I said, okay, in 7 years, you may not be with this chart married to the man you're with. What I didn't see, because it wasn't in her chart, and I never read his chart, is the reason they weren't going to be together in the 7th year, she would die. And she would go home, and Peter would stay, but she would go home. I couldn't see that because Peter never gave me his chart. Wow. If I did, I would have seen in Peter's
something
chart.
in the eighth house.
Wow.
And as a result, I never knew to expect that because I wasn't aware of it. Now, remember, we're human. Both of us are human. And we were talking about family ancestry and, where we're coming from in the world. There is a different perspective from the different culture that you come in and your genetic makeup. So I like to use the word filters. If you have more stuff in your filters, you're not going to understand it 100%. But if you get rid of fear, overwhelm, if you get rid of doubt and you forgive, the filters will clear. And that, with the pineal gland and the DMT, will allow you to actually interpret your astrological moments to a higher degree of understanding. Now you're not coming from earthly astrology. You're coming from a divine guided astrology, which is what we're moving into the new earth. Right?
Well, that's a good point you brought up. We only have a few minutes left, so I would love for you guys to each share to the audience a few things that they could be doing in their life or at home that can help them sync or raise their vibration so they can just enjoy life a little bit more and better execute their mission.
If you're having questions about what you're meant to be doing in this lifetime and what's going to feel fulfilling, I would say look at your North Node. If you're looking to bring more joy into your life, I think that's really important. You can look at your 5th house. It talks about just how to reconnect with your inner child.
Oh, and that's really important during tough times.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And then Jupiter is a planet of expansion and blessings and luck. And when you are embodying the characteristics of your Jupiter placements, like Jupiter in Gemini, if you're like learning and speaking, engaging, communicating, connecting, then you feel very expansive. You feel light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're coming to, is we're in a time of expansion or contraction. That's the best way to actually explain it, rather than dark or light, or war or destruction. Think of us moving forward to that time of heaven to earth, or expansion of our soul, with the universe and our galaxy, welcoming us home to this grand experiment we call life. Don't think of the dark side, which is contraction, and think of it as going back to the old direction. We don't want to make a U-turn. And so think of it always going forward with the positive, and you'll attract it. Go out into nature. Use nature for the aspect to bring you better connected to the source. And don't be fearful. When you're going to stay onto this next aspect, I'm going to show people how to get rid of that fear, how to get rid of that doubt, how to forgive themselves so that they can move on with ease and grace and go towards that time of expansion, that Jupiter expansion, rather than that contraction and collapse. That's the old moniker. We don't want to go that way. For the audience, she's got wonderful energy, and she needs to keep focusing and let go of her fear. And some of the fear is because I told her when I saw her, there's something hanging around her that's not of her.
Yeah.
It is coming from family burdens. So think of it as we're one big family, and we must let go of all the family burdens humanity has experienced over the last 25,000 and 250,000 years. Mother Earth will let you know. Don't feel bad. Understand that this is an enormous game we're playing. We're in the place where the game is the top. Even though it can be scary and the worst looking, This is where the other beings from other worlds and other realities come, because we're called the zoo of the universe, and everybody wants to see, how do we deal with the dichotomy between good and evil? Well, use your astrology to move into mastering your reality and endure, persevere, and overcome it, rather than be overwhelmed by it. The way to overcome and open those filters so your astrology is always on the positive aspects is don't go to the fear, don't go to the dark side. Go to the light side and visualize. No, things have to shift. We're all going to shift for the higher thing. And those that leave, they're going to come back to a better reality, and they're going to come back stronger and better. Like you said, the children are coming in with it built in. We have the challenge and the opportunity to get rid of stuff in the challenging in-between part, the storm beach part. And when you get through that, your strength is immense, more powerful, and you become teachers in a force of reality that allows the children and grandchildren to grow and expand all of humanity. Use your astrology to expand, not contract. And with that, you will always be in a state of health and oneness and beauty, because it comes one to the other. So it's been a pleasure.
Alice and Dr. Scott, this has been such a treat for me just to see you guys banter and agree upon different parts of astrology. And it's always fun to see people who speak the same language. And you guys both do amazing work for people. So this is just a reminder to everyone that's listening. There's no reason to suffer, and there's no reason to be lost. There are so many experts like you guys who offer services to help people find their true north, find their career passion, their personal passion, to physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally heal. All you have to do is send the text, pay for the course, reach out to the person and set up the appointment. It's within your reach. So if you ever find that you're in a place where you're suffering, reach out to a friend, a family member, to find the expert that can support you.
The big guy upstairs.
And then just ask God or your guides and angels or whoever you communicate with for clear direction and answers.
I think you just need to ask for help. When you ask for help, you will...
The universe will provide for it.
Yeah, the teacher will come, the help will come. You just have to be able to receive. And I think sometimes when people ask, they like, oh, I want abundance, I want help, they don't actually know how to receive it. Even I have issues with that too. I'm like, oh, I want this, but I'm like, can I hold it?
Mm.
And that
goes back
comes
to our vibration.
right. And that fear has to be eliminated, and you get on that new path so that she can really, truly be a teacher.
Yeah.
And with that, for those that can't see it, she's got a beautiful heart. She needs to use this to expand forward even more. I mean, she's already good at what she does.
Yeah.
To expand even more, to leave behind the burdens of her ancestry, so she never has that holding her back.
Which everyone gets to do. And that's why Dr. Scott and I are going to do an episode simply on using numbers and frequency to clear the trapped emotions off of you. Because we all get to learn how to do it for ourselves, and then to teach, other people around us how to do it. So there's no more stagnation. We all get to move forward.
Would you like to stay for that episode so you can learn to get rid of fear, doubt, and forget?
Oh, sure, if Whitney is open to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into this episode with Alice and Dr. Scott. I'm going to have links to their websites in the show notes, so it's easy for you guys to reach out to them. But if there's just one particular way that you prefer clients connect with you, Alice, what's that?
Just find me on Instagram or TikTok, and they can get their free career astrology report from yoursaturn.com.
Okay, perfect. And Dr. Scott, where would you like people to reach out to first?
My website is therearenolinesinheaven.com, or believe it or not, you can actually call or text me directly, 760-917-2625, and I'll put it in any language that you want. So I work with people in 23 different countries.
I love you guys both. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. And this has just been such a pleasure. So thanks for lighting up my life and for being a part of this podcast.
And thank you, Whitney.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys are amazing. I love you.
That was such a fun conversation.
I know.
And that's what it should be when you're doing this. You're coming from your heart. You're coming from joy.
We're doing this again.
And